You know, sometimes an artist just loses it. They lose that spark. Who knows why that is? Maybe money and recognition makes them complacent. Maybe they just aren't that inspired anymore. Maybe they get too wound up in politics. Maybe they get too old for 12-hour shooting days and are content to let the computer guys take up more of the slack. Maybe they get so enamored with these shiny new technologies that everything else takes a back seat. In the lead up to the new Mad Max Furiosa movie, my attitude was, well, I'm not sure we really need this movie, but this is still George Miller, who's been with the series since the beginning. The guy deserves at least the benefit of the doubt. But then, the more I've seen of the movie, the more skeptical I've become. The visceral, in-camera action of the previous films seems to be increasingly traded in for wonky-looking PlayStation 4 graphics. It's been however many years now, and apparently we still don't know or don't care how to do digital compositing so that it doesn't look like puke. And so, with the announcement that Warner Brothers would be releasing a new slate of Lord of the Rings movies, not even the fact that Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Phillipa Boyens would all be returning as executive producers was enough to quell that voice inside me that says, "Dear God, why? When will it end?" Are the three of them together, by the way? Is this a kind of sex thing? I'm not judging, they just look like the type of people who would get into a three-way relationship type thing. A lot of incense, a lot of sweat. Anyway, the announcement of these new films was made where all great art is born in a Warner Brothers quarterly earnings report. Lord of the Rings is one of the most successful and revered franchises in history and presents a significant opportunity for our theatrical business, said Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav. Okay, an opportunity for the theater business. That sounds good. Movies are a business. It is what it is, I guess. After that, however, we get a similarly robotic-sounding press release from Jackson, Walsh, and Boyens, and then one from Andy Serkis, director and star of the first film in this new cinematic endeavor, tentatively titled The Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. Gollum. Good old Gollum. Were people clamoring for a Gollum movie? Was Warner Brothers inspired by the rousing success of the Gollum video game? You know, there's a part of me that wishes Tolkien had never written those doggone appendices because before you know it, every little footnote in there is going to be used as an excuse for milking the series to death. Well, of course we need to know what Farmer Maggot was up to between the hours of 2 and 3 on the day before Bilbo's birthday party. It was in the appendices, after all. The thing is, Tolkien put all that stuff in the back of the book for a reason. Very often, a story and its world is more defined by what has been excluded, by what you don't see, rather than straining over every little crumb of lore and backstory. We don't need to know Aragorn's tax policy. More than likely, the idea of leading with this particular film is something to do with who owns which rights to what. Gollum was what they had, and so Gollum is what you're going to get. But okay, let's look on the bright side. Andy Serkis is back. He's the guy. He's the guy who was the Gollum guy. They trusted him with directing second unit on The Hobbit. They trusted him with Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So why not this? And hey, it's Peter Jackson, your old friend. Peter Jackson is back, the man whose energy, enthusiasm, fidelity to the source material, and keen storytelling instinct played no small part in the success of the original trilogy. The only thing is, and I'm sorry to say, but I just don't know if the guy has his heart in it anymore. This is the guy that had to be backed into a corner to do The Hobbit. The guy who touted 48 frames per second as the next great leap forward in storytelling technology. Believe me, I would love to see a return of the Peter Jackson who made Bad Taste, Dead Alive, The Frighteners, Lord of the Rings, but it seems like nowadays the guy would rather spend his time trying to digitally resurrect the Beatles than he would making movies. It's no surprise that he seems to be taking on more of an advisory role this time around. More than that, there's the idea of Jackson bringing his new fixation with AI and digital necromancy into the world of Middle-earth. If you thought The Hobbit was too crowded with rubber-faced video game goofballs, who knows what horrors might await in this new series of films. People are already talking about digitally de-aging Viggo Mortensen, to which I say, is nothing sacred? Are we that beholden to nostalgia? The fact is, you're in hell. You're in hell, 9/11 ruined everything, and the magic of the books, the magic of those original 3 films is never coming back. The same goes for Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever. The only surprises left are to find out which characters are going to be race swapped and how soon people are going to forget the thing even existed in the first place. Of course, I do hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about the new Mad Max. I hope Francis Ford Coppola's new movie is great, and I hope I'm wrong about these new Lord of the Rings movies. The reason why we still keep up with these old masters, even if it seems they've lost their spark, is the hope that maybe they can still surprise us, that there's still some gas left in the tank. And hey, sometimes they do. Johnny Cash did it, right? Scorsese, sometimes, maybe. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about that. You're in hell. Peter Jackson was better at movies when he was fat. Okay, goodbye.